Hey, I got a question for you. How do you feel about millions of dollars?
I'm interested.
Okay.
Yeah. I play the lottery every week, and so far, so bad.
Do you
Cash me out one time.
Do you really? Do you play every week?
I try to. It's usually just a $5.
Sure.
I get 1 mega, 1 super, and 1 power. It's 2 and 1.
1 scotch.
Totally.
1 bourbon. Okay.
It's a $5 investment,
All right.
so you're in on all 3 draws, and I just do it if I happen to be in a locale where, for example, we were in San Jose for the Steve Young, not the Steve Young, but the Dwight Clark legacy. And so I was starving after the event. And so I went on the other side of the freeway into not quite South San Jose, but in San Jose.
You should come to dinner with us.
I had to get home.
Come to dinner
so
with
I was
us.
just going to grab a couple of local tacos.
Yep.
I wasn't interested in a 2-hour sit down with, look. Let's talk about the 5 o'clock hour.
We actually, and we did.
Of course.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to run through tape at dinner. I know. He's a great guy. But I just wanted to get home. So as I was getting tacos, I saw a convenience store, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to get me 1 bourbon, 1 scotch, and 1 beer.
Okay.
1 super, 1 mega, 1 power. So, yes, I play the games.
But you didn't win.
I won $4.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
Thanks. Whatever. Yeah. Minor. The Ziploc bag.
I love the psychology behind the lottery ticket purchase. It fascinates me.
Yeah.
How many people will look at a $100 million prize and they're like, I'm waiting for it to get to 400.
Totally.
100 million's not enough. Like, it gets close to $1 billion.
That's my wife.
And everybody's, I'm one of these people. Everyone freaks out because I'm like, 950 million. We could do some things with 950 million. As if it was only 90 million,
right?
You'd be like, is that worth me stopping the car?
Or even 10 million, right? The reason why I play is that it feels like it gives me that ability to, in the moment or whenever moment, it's like, you know what? What if? And the fact that I'm in,
it's blissful.
It's worth $2 to me.
I'm with you.
To have that momentary dream of what if? What if I even get like the second prize, which is $741,000? If I win $741,000,
you're not even here the next day.
I'm still here.
Are you?
Yeah.
How about the next week?
Oh, for sure.
Next month?
There's a number where I don't show up to work and I walk it off. It's probably above $5 million.
Okay.
If I win $10 million, I'm probably, and you know what? The way I was raised, I'm giving 2 weeks notice for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Even though Grandy would want me out immediately. I see you in there.
That's fair. Yeah.
2 weeks feels like a long time.
Well, sometimes I've seen people give the 2 weeks notice and they're like, you know what? Today's fine.
In this business, for sure.
Just go.
For sure. I think they'd let me play out the string.
I think, of course we would. Anyway. So,
I'm interested in millions of dollars was your setup. Yes.
Well, here's why I'm asking. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Up and Adams show on FanDuel TV, and she does seem to have a lot of 49ers on there. Debo goes on all the damn time. Charvarius Ward was the guest today, and he had this to say.
You got a contract year, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to get that bag, Miss K.
How are you feeling about it? This isn't the first time. You've gotten several bags, yeah?
The one I'm currently on right now, that's been my biggest deal so far, 3 year, 40-some million. But I just got to go out there, have my best year, be better than last year. And, all of that to take care of itself. Yeah, hopefully I get that bag next year. We'll see.
Okay. I want to say this first and foremost. I try to be the least jealous person in the world. That does nothing to trigger me. Charvarius Ward talking about getting the bag after being in the process of completing a 3-year, $40.5 million contract. When he gets to the end of this upcoming year, and he's not going to be cut because he remains the 49ers' best cornerback, he is going to have completed $60 million approximately as far as career earnings. But I'm curious how this grabs everyone, and I do have a reason for asking. How does it grab you when someone who's already made $60 million before his 30th birthday says this coming year, this is about getting that bag. This is about getting that bag. What does that do to you as the fan?
For me, it doesn't really affect me in kind of the same way you're talking about as far as jealousy goes. And part of me, though, does think, didn't you already get the bag? But in his mind, he's looking for the bag after the bag. And the bag that he already got is, he's already into that bag, and he's already, experienced that bag, and now he is He's
a very rich man.
Well, and think about where he is in his craft, though.
Okay.
He's a Super Bowl champ, and I just looked at his numbers. He's been to 17 playoff games in the last 6 years.
Crazy.
His playoff resume is deep and profound and prolific, and at 28, and he just had a birthday. I want to make sure he is just 28.
I think he's 29, no?
He just turned 28 on May 16th.
Okay.
So he's a guy who I'm sure is looking at it as if he's got 3 to 5 more good years, and he's right now probably the best corner in football.
Oh.
6th, 11th.
I don't know. Certainly top 15.
Right.
That's safe.
Okay.
And maybe top 10.
Right. But my point is, he's looking at it like, I'm 28, and the bag that I'm going to get that's the bag with the capital B.
Well,
forget this piddly little $40 million I already got. I'm looking for 5 years and 100 with 50 guaranteed.
What's the going rate for the top corners?
I'll look it up.
Yeah,
it's probably not $20 million a year, but it's probably close.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and what? So he was at 3 years and 40.5. So what's that average out to? About 13 plus.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'm looking at Jair Alexander at 21 average.
Okay.
And Denzel Ward at 20. Jalen Ramsey's at 20. Trevon Diggs, 19. Marshawn Lattimore, 19.
So top of the market is 20, and I don't know that Charvarius would be absolute top of the market, but yes, he could, in theory, command something like 4 years and $75 million for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
Right now, according to this list, at over the cap, he is currently tied for 10th in average annual.
This has always been my question. And in fact, let's put it out. 888-957-9570. Are any of you rich? You got some rich people listening to the show right now? I mean, we live in the Bay Area. I sort of look at it like all of us are insanely rich.
Insanely rich. So yeah, I guess that's where I would ask you to define the parameters.
Well, I mean, right.
Are you so rich that you don't have to work for anybody?
Okay, how about this? Do you just not have money worries? Do you not have money worries at all? Because even those of us, right, if we can afford to live here, I look at us as like, wow, we're rich. But that doesn't mean that it's not the first damn thought on my mind when I wake up in the morning and the last one when I go to bed. Oh my God, I got another kid that's got braces here coming up in another year. Oh, for crying out loud. How are we doing that?
Man.
Where do they want to go this summer? I'm sorry. What do you want to sign up for? Excuse me. Whose birthday is it this weekend? All of that stuff. If you are just lucky enough that like you have no money stress, I'd love to ask this question, 888-957-9570, and you and I can just kick this around. If you're there, to what level is making that next dollar still a motivator? That's what I've always wondered. And I don't live in that space, yet. I don't live in that space. But I've always wondered that, and obviously our business is sports, so we're largely talking about athletes, but it's always been my thought. An example you'll really relate to is what the golfers went through with the whole live golf thing.
Right.
I loved John Rahm for a minute because John Rahm had one of my favorite press conferences ever. Live Golf called. They offered me $250 million. I looked at my wife. I said, do we need this? She goes, no. Okay, fine. Let's stay where we are. Flash forward 6 months later, we changed our mind. Did they up the offer? I don't know. But he took the money. And I don't hate the live golfers for it. Some of you do. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I am not begrudging anyone, even if you're a gazillionaire, for wanting another gazillion. But is it still your lead motivator? And the only reason I ask is, I wonder if I had just made $60 million and someone was like, all right, You're about to be, you're 28. What's really driving you next year? I don't know, maybe winning the Super Bowl, but it's about that bag. And I'm like, really? And again, with zero judgment, there's no frustration here. It's just a curiosity for me that once money is taken care of for the rest of your life, to what level is it still driving your motivation on the daily?
Well, it depends on whether or not it is taking care of you for the rest of your life or not. We don't know his finances. We don't know his family finances. We do know that he's got a number of siblings, and we've played the clip here on the station before when he talks about all his siblings, their names, and their nicknames. It's actually, kind of hilarious with the background. So maybe he's got a lot of people on the payroll and the rest of it. So I wonder, though, at the age of 28, if I would have thought differently than I do now. Because now, when I look at my priorities, health is a bigger priority than wealth for me because I'm 55. When I was 28, I didn't really give a damn about my health. I wasn't thinking about my health. I was thinking about, doing what I wanted to do in the moment and getting whatever I could get in the moment. And, it was more about me than it is now. Now it's about, heck, my two grown kids and my baby and my wife and their future and how can I set them up and how can I live long enough to make all this happen for all these people. And so I do think your priorities change. And if you're 28 and you're an alpha male, which these NFL players all are, and you feel like you're at the top of your craft and you look at where you are on the list and you're 10th in average annual, I'm sure part of you is thinking, I want to be the one to reset this market.
Well, I'm in full agreement. He's not even the perfect example to have this discussion.
Clay might be a better example to have this discussion.
Well, he's just today's discussion because he's the one who spoke. But yes, anybody can be the example. Clay, absolutely. We could talk about that.
Even Brandon Ayuk, you can kind of look at his situation more and say, okay, get that bag. This is going to be your your first real big bag. I mean, heck, he's going to make 17 this year, 14 this year.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
That's a ton of money.
It's a first-round draft pick.
It's probably more money than most of us will make in our adult lifetimes when you think about it in those terms. So it's a whole heap of money, but it's not even the big bag that he's going to get.
Right. And football is different because we know this, right? They approach like every play could be your last, and if you do get hurt, you don't get all your money, and maybe there's not only not a big bag, maybe there's no bag. Like Charvarius Ward could suffer an injury this year and never play football again. And they have to approach it that way. So I want to keep stressing, I am not mad at this comment, not even a little bit. But, take Steph Curry, for example. I remember when he signed the Supermax, and he was like, there are a few Steph Curry quotes that are applicable here. And he made the statement, he's like, at this point, this money is not even about me. This is now about how we can have a positive effect on society, what things that we can do. And maybe is that, something someone says publicly, but with Steph, I kind of believe it.
Right.
They do a lot of great stuff. And I also remember back when Steph was on that 4-year, $44 million contract, and everyone kept making a big deal about, like, dude, you're Steph Curry, and there's like 4 teammates making more money than you. Are you okay? And Steph finally looked at someone and said, if I can't live on $11 million per year, I've got a real problem. Like a real problem. And so I love that stuff. It just, I'm not going to say, like, if you go out to dinner with your friend, and I got a few of these now, some of my high school buddies from San Mateo have done a damn nice job for themselves, right? We got a former PGA Tour player.
Right.
I got a lawyer in San Diego. We got some people who've done the darn thing now. I don't just, expect them to pay.
It's cool when they do it, though.
It's awesome, right? Do it, but I'm not, so it's not about that. Whenever, Clay is a great example. So you've made $250 million,
right,
and your next motivator is what? If Orlando offers 30, but you love Tiburon, and Golden State offers 15, is your next motivator the money? Is the motivator the respect?
Yeah.
Or is the motivator, dude, I want to live where I want and play with the teammates I want, period. I don't really give a rip. What drives you in that situation where money will never be an issue forever?
Right. That becomes obviously a deeply personal choice, and it comes down to maturity and perspective. And maybe that's what Clay has to sit with this offseason and figure out what his motivator is, because there is, especially in that business, there's a lot of ego and a lot of trash talk and a lot of hubris that goes around how much you make. In basketball especially, there are a few numbers that matter most. How many points a game, how many rings, and how much do you make? And if you're Klay Thompson, you've already got the rings and you've already got the legacy. That is something that can never be put asunder. You're a 4-time champ, your number's going to be retired, and you're going to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Check, check, check. But if you come out this year and you're making 14.7 and Wiggins is making more and Draymond's making more and Steph's making more, and you're the 4th or 5th highest paid guy on your own team, and other guys on other teams are whispering in your ear, hey, Clay, you need to hold 1,000. A little short, Clay.
No, but you come
These
on.
things happen.
No,
are you telling me they don't?
No, yeah.
You telling me guys don't talk trash to other players?
I'm certainly telling you that no one's going to come up to Klay Thompson and say, "Do you need $1,000?" I know you've only
Clay,
made
do you need to hold $1,000,000?
$250 million.
Hey, Clay, you know I'm making 3 times more than you this game, and I ain't even playing. I'm in my sweatpants.
You go look at any of those players and say, I just bought you out of the league. Go home.
Yeah, that's how Clay responded in Phoenix when he held up his empty hand and pointed to 4 rings that he had.
He did.
I'm just saying that his motivator might be different than based on that chip on his shoulder.
And maybe. And so again, I'll state I have no issue with whatever motivates you. I just wonder what it is when you've made that kind of money, because I've always thought to myself, at a certain point, and for example, we had the LeBron James conversation, and Brian Windhorst said this. LeBron has made more money than God. Yeah. He doesn't need another dollar.
He's made the most on court in history.
Right, and he's obviously made an absolute ton off the court as well. But Windhorst made the point. He's like, he's not taking a discount this year, not even to play with Bronny, because LeBron wants to own an NBA team. And if you want to own an NBA team, every extra million that you can get your hands on matters. And so even at this stage, another $50 million for LeBron next year matters. So great. If that's your goal, that's your goal. I've always had that curiosity, though, when you get late in your career and you have taken money off the table as a problem in your life, why don't we see more players solely get motivated by the experience that they want to have instead of every last dollar? No criticism on it.
Right.
But curiosity for sure, because you hear people go, I really wanted to stay. But
yeah, the offer was too good.
Somebody else offered me $8 more, so I left.
It's ego. It's absolute ego, and I think that it is a lot of these conversations we have, and when ESPN or whatever network puts up their rankings of top 10 shooting guards or top 10 players in the association, top 10 highest paid corners, you like to see your name up there. There's a certain amount of respect and gravitas that goes with making that much money, even if it means you end up in Central Florida as opposed to North Marin or South Marin. Your decisions may be based on ego as opposed to geography.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think you're very accurate with that. It is a comparison piece.
Yeah.
The like, how many times have we heard Bobby Marks come on and be like, okay, you have a shooting guard who shoots X percentage from 3-point range. Here's what that costs in the NBA. And players will go, then you have to pay me that. That's what I'm worth. And I think there's a ton of value in that in life, is knowing our worth and demanding that that's what we get. Many of us are scared to do it because we're put in situations where, like, our job is on the line and people with authority over us are saying things that are filling us with fear about it. So again, I totally get it. But Clay is probably, in the end, maybe one of the better examples, because you sit here today and you go, look, Like, if you really just want to be a Warrior and you love playing with Steph and Draymond, well, then you can be.
Yeah. Well, it's really up to him.
Yeah.
They want him here. His teammates want him. The team wants him. And he's already succeeded here, but he may end up leaving a whole mountain of money on the table. And if it's $10 million a year over 3 years, that's $30 million you're asking him to say no to.
Yeah, no, and I'm not asking him
I'm not saying you are, but in theory, the team would be asking him, hey, Clay, we can only pay you 15. I know Orlando's going to give you 30, but, Steph and Draymond, am I right? And Tiburon, huh?